What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com. It is July 19th. This is your Fightful post-Raw review, our first Raw with fans. Denise, I guess it's kind of weird to think that we have done like significantly more Raw reviews without fans than we have together with, or without fans than we have with fans, because we had like October through March, and then for like 16, 17 months, there were no fans, and now we got them back.
Sean, are you serious? I didn't even realize that, to be honest. I feel like everything has sort of been like this big giant blur that I didn't even realize that we've done more shows together in this pandemic era. That's kind of sad. That's a little sad, actually.
Yeah. I mean, my God, it's wild. It's wild. And you know what? It's always wild at Fightful.com. We broke some news on FightfulSelect.com last week about a guy named Bill Goldberg coming back. Let me tell you guys, this is going to be the week you want to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com if you haven't. I'll say that. This will be a good one. We had a lot of news today. Thunder Roast, I had my Backstage Report podcast, but an update on Thunder Roast's future with Impact Wrestling and all that, plus a new Bullet Club member, which an amazing addition. I was at Slammiversary this week. This week, I've interviewed Raquel Gonzalez. I've got one with Mojo Rawley ahead of his Snake Eyes G.I. Joe movie. And then I got Matt Cardona, his last interview before GCW, his match with Nick Gage. But let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Denise, I cannot be fooled into thinking this was a good Raw because of, one, the last 2 minutes and other things being newsworthy. 4 rematches on this show, Denise, and it set up another rematch down the line.
Sean, I don't think I've ever been like this fired up to come out and talk about a Raw. And the reason for that is that I kind of feel like I need therapy after this. After this edition of Raw, there was just so many there were so many things that happened on today's show that I feel like I just could not fathom why they did. And yes, I liked the way that Raw ended, but that does not mean that, like you said, those last couple of minutes are going to essentially trump everything else that went down on this show. I feel like, I don't know. I feel a mixture of emotions, to be honest, heading into this show. I mean, heading into this post show, I feel like I feel angry. I feel confused. I feel happy. I mean, it's just a big mixture of a mess right now.
It is. Guys, please leave a thumbs up on this video. I can't tell you how important that is. That lets YouTube know that you care about us, that you give a crap about us. And subscribe and tap that bell for notifications. If you want your question or statement read on the air, tap that little $sign at the bottom, and you'll get your question or statement read on the air. Seller Justin Lopez says, I agree, Raw was whack. There was some interesting stuff. There was some fun stuff. It wasn't like miserable, terrible, but I watched it knowing, Denise, that they could have done so much better.
I think the show overall was confusing, and a lot of the calls that were made were very confusing. I think top to bottom, the crowd was not necessarily, I would say, the greatest, which kind of took from the show as well. So there was a lot of things that were just kind of like didn't necessarily work out the way you might have originally thought so.
Well, let's go ahead and read some of the super chats. Richie Goodacre says, apart from the ending, this is one of the worst Raws I've seen in ages. Not me. To me, fans pushed it well above. Like, it wasn't one of the worst that I've even seen this year, not by a long shot. It's just, Denise, as I said, I know they could do so much better. And how do I know that? Because I watched the show last night.
Sean, though, here's the thing. I can't disagree with what the person just said, because here's the thing is that when you think about a bad Raw, I think we're thinking more in terms of like, oh, absolutely nothing happened in this 3-hour show. But I would classify this as a bad Raw because a lot of the decisions that were made were just like, WTF is going on here. And so I would classify this as a bad Raw. A bad Raw, it was different in terms of like, yeah, there's been other shows that were completely boring and nothing happened. And, we're here, trying to come up with things to talk about for the show. This show gave us a lot to talk about. Are they good stuff to talk about? Not necessarily. I mean, other than the Nikki Ash thing, and not even everybody's going to agree with that being a good thing.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people are going to hate that. Colt Badeau says this has to be the weirdest Raw ever. Oh, it certainly is one of the weirdest Raws ever. And I at this point, I don't confuse newsworthiness with being good. I mean, it's good for us. It's good for Fightful because that's what we do. We love this business, as Jeremy says. Anakin says, Denise, I'm with you. Getting notifications of a Becky tweet are so much fun. I miss her on Twitter so much. She was so entertaining on social media. But Tito says, have you noticed that Carmella is the only one that held the briefcase for the women longer than 24 hours? To me, that is getting a little redundant. You can almost count every single year somebody's going to cash it in within a day.
Yeah, and still, I was not expecting Nikki Ash cashing in today, to be honest. I wasn't.
Brandon Charles Powell says, has WWE done so many rematches like this? I've seen them do multiple rematches, but this is insane now. They have been for like the last year. They have been, Denise.
But today, I think, was the official day that I think it kind of broke me a little bit, Sean. I'll be real with you. I gave up trying to keep track of all the matches that they announced that are still going to be rematches moving forward. And even some of the ones that they didn't announce that are going to be rematches, but are going to be rematches based on how things went down tonight. I feel like today was really just a day where I thought, all right, nope, this is legit. Like legit, the rematches don't seem to be an issue for them. It just seems to be an issue for obviously us.
Yeah, I saw pretty early on. Honestly, I got the feeling on Friday. On Friday, when I saw Tegan Nox and Shotzi against Tamina and Natty again, I said, oh, this isn't going to change.
See, I didn't get that, Sean, because I thoroughly enjoyed SmackDown. And even though they had that rematch, I thought, you know what? I'm going to let it slide because I know how thin their SmackDown women's roster is. So you know what? I'm not going to be overly, like harsh on that. And I let it slide. And then come today, I was completely like, egg on my face when it came to whether or not we were still going to be seeing a ton of rematches.
It was just very obvious to me because you book them against literally anybody else. You book them against anybody else, and it's fresh. And when they say, oh, well, they don't have anybody, that's WWE's fault. And how many times did we hear this? Just wait till fans come back. Well, we wait, and it's still a dumpster fire. I told you. I've been told this. We know it's a reset. We know it's a reset every time. The Fox deal, a draft, a shakeup after WrestleMania, every single time. I ain't falling for it anymore. Tyler Center says maybe fans can hold them more accountable. Fans have been holding them accountable, Denise. They don't watch the show.
They've been leaving.
They've been leaving for years and years and years. And a lot of people confuse the amount of money that WWE is making with success. WWE should have been making a lot more money for a long time. They weren't getting the money that they deserved, quite frankly. But my God, let's get to some of these super chats because we got a bunch. Daniel Arthur's out a random one. Jungle Boy versus a WWE wrestler. Who's your pick? I would say Riddle. I think Riddle could have a really fun match with him. But
I think there's so many. But I'm going to throw a random one out there. I'm going to go with Ricochet just for fun.
Oh, there you go. And Bezos says, show went off a cliff after Cena. Let's talk about it. John Cena came out, cut a great promo. He said, Roman Reigns, the reason I want to face you isn't because it's a big moment, because it's a big match, because I can become a 17-time champion. It's because you're an asshole and you're not as over as you say you are, and that's coming from me. Whew. John Cena got cheered pretty heavily here, Denise. Not pretty heavily, unanimously. This was another great moment.
Look, I don't know if I necessarily agree.
Trash.
I kind of felt that this segment was kind of a little bit of a miss, to be honest. And the only reason why I felt that way was because they already had, the initial last night was like the big, massive pop for John Cena. Okay. So obviously the one for today necessarily wasn't going to hit at that level. And in my opinion, it didn't hit that level. And I kind of felt like because, even John Cena mentioned this, that the fans were very confused as to like what to cheer. And he mentioned that, the different chances he was hearing. So on TV, it kind of came across as like people, the crowd didn't necessarily, I think, in my opinion, hit the mark with John Cena's return here. It kind of felt like he was very much struggling to try to get the crowd to unanimously like get really loud. And I get it. A lot of it is, technique of, pumping the crowd up, saying like, oh, this side of the crowd isn't being loud enough, et cetera, et cetera. But then it kind of took so long to get that big moment that I kind of got like disinterested. It wasn't until he started addressing Roman Reigns in particular where I started to thinking, all right, here we go. Like he mentioned SummerSlam, he mentions Roman Reigns. And I'm thinking finally, because this is what I want to hear. And obviously him calling Roman Reigns arrogant, calling him overhyped. He said, quote, overexposed gimmick who's not as over as he says he is. I loved all of that. Once it got to him actually addressing Roman Reigns, that's when it definitely picked up. The whole Matt Riddle thing with the whole bro thing, it was like, okay, funny, but it wasn't like anything to necessarily blow me away. I think given all of the past things that we have seen with John Cena and interactions that he's had with other talents, this one necessarily did not hit the mark with me.
Yeah, the Riddle stuff was cute at first, and then I was like, all right, let's move on. I loved the promo. I thought the crowd was for Cena. I mean, it's wild to hear him unanimously cheered, and it's just good to have him back. For the love of God, it felt good to have him back, and I'm glad. And he's going to be there on SmackDown, too, as FightfulSelect.com reported last week when we said that John Cena would be back by the weekend. I thought this promo was good. It was solid. I don't agree that Roman Reigns is overrated. I think that would have worked 2 years ago. It doesn't work anymore. I think it probably would have worked more if he said that Roman Reigns was overrated. Now he's not, and that's why he wants to fight him. There were some pieces of this that I didn't think made a lot of sense, but the crowd was eating out of the palm of his hand. The crowd loved him, and ultimately, that's what John Cena is there for. And we're here for your super chats, guys. And holy crap, it's like Raw after Mania level super chats.
Send them in.
So we appreciate you. Let's go and get to him. Balier Lasagna says this show is a roller coaster of exceptionally bad and organically exciting. They missed the mark on gauging the crowd, especially with that piped in noise.
So a roller coaster with a bunch of drops, because that's exactly what I tweeted too. I was like, this felt like a roller coaster, except that there was just a bunch of loops and a bunch of drops.
And Josh Cardenas says, thanks for reminding me why I don't watch Raw, Vince. Yikes. And Mike Bond says, mentioned on Select Chat, the first Raw in 2 years, the matches don't feel like they mean anything, especially after Money in the Bank. Give me some repercussions. Yes, they need stakes for so many of these matches. They need something that matters, and not just, hey, you've got to beat the champion to get a title shot. Why not have two people that aren't the champion fight for a title shot? That way more people are involved in things that are important. It seems so simple. Casey,
Sean, I don't know. I feel like at this point they've married people off, and it's like that's the only person you could ever appear on TV with. That's it. That's what it feels like.
Yep. We've got Terrence Robinson says Raw has a window to captivate the audience with crowds back. They do need to be careful with some of the choices they're making. They're already being lazy. All these rematches are lazy, Denise. And I don't care. I had somebody say, well, that's common WWE storytelling. Well, common WWE storytelling sucks. They tell about one really good story at a time. And usually the rest of it's lazy and sucks. What they could do is maybe not do that if that's basic WWE storytelling, because that makes them hemorrhage viewers.
So here's the thing, as I kind of have a quick response here about the whole viewers and, having that small window of opportunity. And that definitely is true. So I posted on Twitter today that I had booked a trip to New York. Okay. And I put that it was non-wrestling related. However, every single comment thought that it was something about AEW and me going to an AEW show. Not one person in there thought, hey, maybe she's going to be at the WWE MSG show. Not one person. Everybody was thinking about the AEW show. And that to me was very, very telling.
AEW is a hot ticket. Kate Hensler sends a super chat and says, what? This is my what chant. Oh, no. Oh, no. Reminder, guys, you can get those in. We'll answer every single one of them. We pride ourselves on being the most interactive wrestling review show out there. Dylan Bishop says WWE is no longer a wrestling company. They're a content company. Rematch after rematch just to fill our TV time. Stories don't matter. You're 100% right, Dylan. That's the situation. They are filling up hours, watch minutes, watch hours, all that stuff. That's what they're doing. And that's very, very unfortunate, I think. Casey Returns says, tonight's show was a lot of fun, guys. The crowd was hot. The stars were in every segment. Love me some Dark Elevation.
Oh, man.
That's cool. That's a good one.
I was like, where is this going exactly?
You see how many people got like super hurt over the article Robert wrote about Matt Hardy's BTE skit?
I didn't see that.
Oh, gosh. Because Matt Hardy posted a thing. He didn't post. He did a skit on BTE where he said that Kenny Omega is a better representative of pro wrestling than like Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. And it was a very clear skit. And it was mentioned in the article that it was a skit. But people were like, well, you didn't say that in the headline. And I'm like, bro, we've got character limits in the headline. We can't like post a paragraph in the headline. And Matt Hardy thought it was hilarious. And they're like, oh, you're fueling fire on Matt Hardy. People are saying that they want him to crack his head again. Then Matt Hardy posts about it, and he thought it was hilarious.
Well, congratulations, because the headline's supposed to be an attention grabber. So there you go. Succeeded.
Yeah, we're getting what chants in our super chats here.
What?
Nerd Guru says, so it's clear that once AEW firmly beat NXT in the ratings, Vince began to literally ignore it. More so ever has Survivor Series. Yeah, that one was pretty bad as well. We've got an awful lot about Kross, but we're going to save that for a little bit. We do have this tag match, this AJ Styles, Omos, and John Morrison against the Viking Raiders and Riddle tag match. And yeah, we see the drip stick come into action. That was kind of funny. That was fine. The baby faces get the win. What'd you think of this match, Denise?
This was one of the high points of Raw. Honestly, up until this point, I thought we were going to be seeing a pretty good episode. To be honest, I was just being a little nitpicky thing with the John Cena segment. But for the most part, up until this point, I thought, all right, cool, we're back. We're getting fans going, etc. Dude, the stars of this, AJ Styles, Matt Riddle, Ivar. I mean, these are guys that just do cool shit in the ring, and that's exactly what we were seeing. This was a very fun match. My favorite moment of this was Ivar doing that moonsault, which was just very beautiful, especially with, a guy his size. Obviously, it's going to look and be presented differently. I was a big fan of this, and I actually like the fact that we saw the Viking Raiders pick up the win here. I thought that this was fun.
Well, guess what, Denise? You're in luck. Because next week, we get a tag team title rematch.
Sean, I was in the bathroom doing my makeup when they made that announcement.
Taking a big fat shit's what you were doing.
I was running to the TV and I was like, no.
Denise, hashtag Denise takes big fat shits.
I've already said on this show, it's a 3-hour show. I have to do my makeup the last half hour during the commercial breaks. I wish I was taking big shits. I would have the abs if I did.
No, big fat shits. The actual, yeah.
Well, after you spread that nasty rumor about me at AEW Double or Nothing, when you started telling everybody I went to go take a dump, even though I went to go get nachos. You told people while I was gone that I was off taking a dump. When I came back all innocently, not knowing what the hell was going on with nachos, I was gone for like 7-10 minutes, and people thought, oh, she probably shit and got nachos too. That's disgusting.
Let me tell you, wasn't nobody taking a dump after eating those nachos, because one, they didn't finish the nachos. Two, if you did, that was going to mess you up for a while. And then
you buried my nachos too. You were like, those look so disgusting, Denise. They have way too much cheese. I was like, okay, this guy.
Okay. Were they good or were they bad?
They were trash, Sean, but I wasn't going to tell you that. And then I was like, they are trash. But you were all like, oh, they look so disgusting.
Because they were. They were horrible.
Don't blame me. Tell them to change the nachos. Damn.
Daly's place. Get your shit in. The nachos are bad there. They're not good. Oh my gosh. So I think we're talking about Raw.
My second favorite part of the show is coming up.
People are sending super chats about your big fat shits. Amazing. I just want to say, first off, people are saying I'm burying Daly's place. I loved Daly's place. It was one of my favorite venues to ever watch wrestling in, and it was a super cool moment. But those nachos were bad.
They were the
real
worst
bad.
nachos ever. I'm sorry. I stand by that. I paid $11 for those.
Symphony of Destruction match. Jackson Riker beats Elias by pinfall. Some cool spots here, but my intelligence was insulted immediately when you hear huge boos coming for Jackson Riker. And all of a sudden, there's like this laid over white noise, Denise. They piped in audio there. How stupid did they think that we are? And Andrew Zarian put out there that WWE, that he had to talk to somebody that thinks that he's going to be a big star. Doubt it, my friends.
He had absolutely no reaction. But here's the baffling part, okay? Obviously, you know, they got a couple of cheap pops here and there because at the end of the day, you have weapons in there. You know what? You still see somebody get, you know, hit with a weapon. You're going to have a little bit of a reaction. All right, we're all humans, whatever. But there was no reaction. And he was one of the people that obviously, you know, heading into, you know, live crowds coming back, we were on here talking about how people were going to react and all of that. And granted, yeah, they're in Texas, you know, they have different views and all of that, whatever. But there was people that mostly everybody was not reacting. I saw a couple of people applauding and I was kind of like, ooh, glad that wasn't me caught on screen applauding for him. But anyways, then we had a couple of people, you know, doing the boos and all of that. But throughout the match, it was very obvious because, you know, you were hearing these sounds, you know, these fan reactions, but then you look out on the screen and everybody's just there like, you know, like they just got caught taking a dump. Anyways, but you get what I mean? It was bad. Okay, but here's not even the part that I'm not like happy about. Here's the interesting part. To me, it feels like more so with this match, they are trying to get the people, they're trying to get him over with the people. That's the baffling part. Like, why out of everybody that you can possibly put over, why Jackson Riker? And I feel bad, but I hate to be so mean, but it's not like he didn't put himself out there in a negative way to get these reactions. So I'm sorry.
He did it to himself. He did it to himself. And he didn't just do it to himself, Denise. He did it to two people that worked really, really hard to make it to the main roster that didn't do shit wrong. And people didn't forget about that. I would like to know what in the 10-year history of Jackson Riker on TV has led them to believe this guy, he's the one. He's the one.
It was him shitting himself with the straps. He just did a very fantastic
shitting himself with the straps?
No, hitting himself with the straps.
Anakin said that one guy in the front row looked like Joel Pearl, seemed to be enjoying this match. I enjoyed the match. I thought the spots were good. I liked the big suplex that went through the table. I thought that was cool. Matt Black, however, says that he was excited and left underwhelmed. And we've got people saying Sean proposal to replace your babyface clap with Dong Lord, Dong. Hey, maybe.
You should make like a little theme song like for this show.
And people were really excited to talk about this, even though Cyclops said it was a slime ball move. There are people that were very, very excited about this. Oh, man. So Richie Goodacre is with us. A championship contenders match should be between two contenders, not a champion. I agree. By the way, guys, if you're in the chat, please don't spam. That would be greatly appreciated. We've got like over 2,000 people watching. So if you make it easier on our mods, it would help. And please don't type in all caps.
What's wrong with all caps? People
it's obnoxious. Emotion. It's obnoxious. Don't do that.
I do that all the time.
On Twitter, you don't do it in our YouTube chat.
Yeah, I do actually.
Cliff Beard says it's pretty sad when Vince sees more in Lil Hulk than he does in NXT champ Kross. Oh, I think Kross is miles better than Jackson Riker. Miles better than Jackson Riker. Well, we should probably move on past this. Backstage, we had something that I really liked. Adam and Sonya are talking to Mansoor, and Mustafa Ali shows up, and they're teaming next week, and I'm here for it because I've enjoyed this stuff. What I haven't enjoyed is Mansoor randomly losing for no reason, but I like the idea of Mansoor and Mustafa Ali forming a team. I've liked the stuff they've done together.
I've been liking it since they started teasing it, and I'm here for it. I feel like we've talked about how both of these guys are tremendously likable, totally opposite of other people, but very likable. Do something with them.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Very, very excited. Then we get Natalya and Tamina against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. We got a super...
Sean, this is the match that my internet went out, so I thought I wasn't going to make the show.
Well, you know what? It's the 6th time they've done this match. Nia's gear looked really good. Natalya and Tamina won. Sheamus is on Raw Talk, says, please save Shayna. But this, I didn't need to see this again. They teased a split towards the end, but then Nia turned around and headbutted Reggie in the face. So I guess that's over, Denise. Did you get to see any of that?
No, I caught just a glimpse when he won the 24/7 championship because I was, battling with my internet. So I pulled up the data on the phone, but I was like trying to I was only like half paying attention because I was trying to figure out what was going on with my internet. And I even messaged you and I thought I wasn't going to show up to this post show. I thought I was done for the day. But
well, fortunately for old Reginald, he wasn't reeling for too long because the 24/7 geeks come out and Akira Tozawa makes it into the ring, tries to hit Reginald, but Reginald does 2 moves to him and wins the 24/7 title.
Here's the thing about Reginald winning the 24/7 title. He's not even the worst option or the worst person that they've had win the title.
Not at all.
So I almost feel like, if anything, this is new for them. This is something new for the 24/7 title. So I'm not even going to say that. I'm not even going to sit here and tell you I didn't like it. I'm fine with this, especially because I did see when he did all of these, flippy stuff and showing off his all the cool things that he can do. That was fun. I'm like, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do this 24/7 championship, liven it up. And I think that they could utilize Reginald in that area better than what they were doing with him right now with Nia and Shayna. If they are officially done, which I don't think so because I feel like it takes forever for things to be done. But if they are officially done, I think it would be the right call to make.
So first off, I want to say I love Nia Jax's new look tonight. She had new hair, new gear. Love that. I like that the 24/7 thing was not a roll up, and I have been asking them to do something different with the 24/7 title for a while. I have no confidence they'll do that. But if they're going to do the same old stuff they've been doing, Denise, I'd rather see Reginald do really cool flips to avoid people than just see people run around and fall over like dopes, because Reginald has been consistently entertaining when he is actually in the ring. He has limited experience, but that limited experience that he shows is pretty impressive in what he does, which is avoid stuff and sell.
It's going to work with the format of the 24/7 championship because, they just do those quick little run-ins sporadically throughout the show whenever they remember about it. So, if you sporadically have him coming out and again, show off some of those acrobatic skills, you're going to get the guy over in that sense. You're not shoving him down our throats in a way that we're just like, oh, this isn't working.
John Kelly asked who held the title before Reginald. Akira Tozawa did. And Planet Dan says he'd kill it on Dark Elevation. I don't know if he would. I haven't seen enough of his in-ring work to know that. And sometimes on Dark and Elevation, they leave some stuff in that should be edited out. At least once a week, I watch that show. And I'm like, this is taped. How did that make air? I'm constantly shocked by that. Atlee Green says, is tonight's Raw an example of WWE's best foot forward, not counting Money in the Bank? If so, is it concerning or good enough? No, it is not good enough. No, it is not example of their best foot forward. It is the same old lazy stuff. They just have a lively crowd there, and this is not a good omen. This is not going to help ticket sales. It's not going to help any of that, Denise.
No, I don't even know how to describe it because, yes, they gave us something to talk about today. Yes, we didn't necessarily see the exact same show that we've been seeing. Well, actually, I should take that back because we kind of are in terms of the rematches. I would say that they put a foot forward. It just probably wasn't the best one.
By the way, guys, if you spam, you're going to get banned. Please don't do that. Make it easier for our mods. This was just this was one of those things where I watched the show and I was like, okay, this is a bummer. I thought it was going to be different. Raul Ortega says, same Raw, but with fans. OMG and the NXT champion lost to a lower mid-tier guy. Famous eye-popping, shocked heel roll-up, the Sheamus special. Well, let's talk about the Sheamus special because he's not happy that he has to face Humberto Carrillo, and I'm not either, Denise, even though the match was fine. But this match was a match for a match that would be a rematch. Okay.
I didn't care. Was I supposed to?
I didn't care either. And we see Damian Priest looking on. And that's where we're going. And you know what? I bet Damian Priest and Sheamus is going to kick ass. I bet it's going to be awesome. I bet it's going to rule at SummerSlam. It's going to be one of my favorite matches on the show. But I did not need to see Sheamus and Humberto Carrillo again. Sheamus has done some of the best work of his life during the pandemic after a point in which it looked like he might have to retire due to injury. Get what you can out of him and do fresh matches.
The thing that sucks worse about this is that you look at these two guys, it ain't going to hurt Sheamus. Yeah, it'll hurt him a little bit, but not to the degree that it hurt Humberto, because Humberto now just looks like a geek. He looks like a jobber. It's like this whole thing that he did with Sheamus, I thought at one point was maybe going to elevate him, was maybe going to do something different, but it ended up just kind of being a joke. And I feel bad because I think that, they did have something with Humberto if they actually wanted to. At the end of the day, you have somebody that can do cool moves. It's going to get over with people. It's going to get over with crowds. You're going to have that, that pop. And I just hate that, he's essentially now just being, after this, he already lost twice back-to-back to Sheamus and this month alone, really. So it's like, where do you go from here with Humberto? Nowhere. And that really sucks, honestly, because I do think that there's a lot that they could have done with him.
And my thing is, like, Damian Priest has shown himself to be a great in-ring talent. And their way to build him to a match is to not have him wrestle. And he's not wrestled a one-on-one match since May.
And he was literally being besties with Bad Bunny. Like, that seems like 50 years ago now. But come on, like, think of like just the soul association. Obviously should have made him be like that cool guy, and it just went downhill. They had one of the best matches at WrestleMania. Who would have thought? It was an entertaining match. And it just went downhill after that. Instead of, seizing that momentum that he had, coming off of, NXT onto the main roster, doing that stuff with Bad Bunny, they should have seized the opportunity when they could have, and then, jumped into this. Instead of having to waste all of these weeks of Sheamus and Humberto, man, fast forward with Damian Priest and Sheamus if you were going to go this direction.
And every time they do one of these things that just go 7-8 matches, you always get that person, and we got that person, and I'm going to shame him. Where is it?
Don't you guys remember when Booker and Benoit had 5 matches on Nitro for 5 straight weeks?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's a little different. There were some stakes applied there. These were really good matches. And every single time I complain about the fact that there's so many rematches, there are always people that are like,
what about Benoit and Booker?
This ain't that. It's not that. Have Damian Priest here. Have Damian Priest beat somebody. Have him beat Humberto. And then afterwards, good job, kid. You did good. Ha, thumbs up. Thumbs up. Like one of those. Humberto, as this person pointed out, has looked like a job guy since AJ. Where's Angel Garza? They're cousins. Have them team up, for the love of God. Brandon Charles Powell said Damian Priest is like the coolest guy in NXT. They need to go back to that. Well, for like a day he was. Then they had Cameron Grimes slicing his tires on the air. Nothing's cooler than getting the air let out of your tires, literally and figuratively. And that's what WWE does to baby faces.
Really bums me out.
And Denise, it's what they do to NXT call-ups.
Is it time?
Oh, boy, it is time. And we've got a whole lot of super chats about this. Karrion Kross debuts, announced out of the blue in the middle of the show. No standard entrance. It's like Vince McMahon listened to Adam Cole's promo about Karrion Kross and said, God damn it, pal, you know what? He's right. Let's do exactly the stuff that Adam Cole exposed Kross for. So weird. So weird. No Scarlet. And Jeff Hardy wins about a 3-minute match with an illegal pin. Now let's talk about the good. No More Words is back, and that's very cool. I am so happy about that.
The song is good. I've always liked the song. I do like the old song more, but okay, but I'm still fine with it. Cool.
Yes. I am very fine with that. That's great. Vince McMahon does not give a damn about NXT. I had an NXT wrestler said that felt like a message being sent.
Sean, it was a message being sent, and I might as well just kind of, get into what I really wanted to say here on the show. So when this match, okay, so you have first and foremost, you have Karrion Kross come out. He's your NXT champion. He comes out to absolutely zero reaction, okay? And yes, a lot of people were bringing up the fact that obviously it's because Scarlett's not there. He doesn't have the cool entrance and all the smoke and all of that. And I do agree with that. However, there should have still been some sort of reaction for him. Now, here's the other thing. You have him in this match.
Sorry to cut you off. They piped in noise for Riker, but wouldn't for the NXT champion.
Exactly.
That's a message. That's a message.
Okay. And then you're putting him up in this match against Jeff Hardy. The people were excited to cheer for Jeff Hardy because no matter what, Jeff Hardy is one of those guys that it doesn't matter if, he hasn't necessarily been having the greatest recent run in WWE. It doesn't matter. He's a guy that you're always going to pop for. You're always going to be excited about because you know what? He's going to remind you of your earlier years as a wrestling fan, etc. Right? But unfortunately, when he defeated Karrion Kross, they literally, and I don't want to be so over dramatic, Sean, but they basically, in a very dramatic fashion, killed NXT. And by that, I mean, dude, come on. He's the NXT champion, okay?
Never beaten before in the company. Never lost before in the company. They brought him up while he's champion and beat him. Poor Mansoor, hopefully he's getting a better check. He won 50 matches in a row, and they didn't even mention it, and they beat him. There is no regard given to what is done outside the auspices of Raw and SmackDown. And you'll have those people, Denise, that say,
well, not everybody knows who he is. I don't even watch NXT.
Well, that's neat. They had the guy walk out with the title around his waist. Literally a prop to make somebody who doesn't know, a prop to make him go, that guy's important. He must be good. Wow.
Sean, what's one of the matches that when people are talking about NXT that they're hoping happens? What match have they been teasing? Samoa Joe, Karrion Kross. They even had a commercial for NXT and Karrion Kross, and all of this air after this. I'm sorry, but how do you expect me if you're an NXT and a Raw and SmackDown viewer, and obviously there's people that watch everything, if you're one of those people, when you tune into NXT, you are always going to now have the reminder that Karrion Kross lost to Jeff Hardy. Now, hell, if the Karrion Kross would have lost to somebody that was at least having, a dominating run, hell, he could have obviously lost to Bobby Lashley. Okay, fine, that's great. But sadly, he lost to Jeff Hardy, who this year has lost to guys such as Jinder Mahal, The Miz, Sheamus, John Morrison. At main event, he lost to Beer, Sean Beer. And so I'm sorry, but they killed NXT with this. They really did. I mean, obviously people are still going to watch NXT and all of that. By that means, it's not going to kill the entire brand. But in terms of killing your champion, nothing kills your champion more than this. And I'm sorry, but this was the one thing that I kind of feel like there's a lot of things that I can come out here and I could say, you know what? I see why WWE did that. I see the business side of it. Oh, I see why they did this. And I always try to find a reason for this. I have absolutely zero, not one credible reason as to why you have your champion, your NXT champion, Karrion Kross, lose to Jeff Hardy. It was one of I'm just going to go ahead and say I think it was one of the worst when we think about decisions over the years that for this whole year that was made. This one's definitely going up there in my opinion. This is one when I make my list of bad booking decisions for the year. This one has to go on there because I don't think I've ever been this upset about something that I saw, because there is repercussions to this and how the NXT brand is going to be viewed after this. And I like the NXT brand.
We need to get to some of these super chats. My God, we're going to spend some time on this. Aaron Entertainment says, how can we take Joe versus Kross seriously now? And somebody says, what if this is to ensure Kross annihilates Joe? This has nothing to do with Joe. Nothing to do with Joe. And if the only way you can draw aggression out of a character is them getting losing and being embarrassed. That I make fun of Sheamus for that all the time. His booking, he gets punched in the face, beaten, and then he's mad. They did that with Kross tonight. Bezo Banks is saying, remember KO and Cena? Chris Rain, like, look at this. Evan Wright saying, was this NXT's finger poke of doom? No, it wasn't that bad, but it was really bad. Chris Reigns, is there ever going to be anyone try and say NXT is the third brand after tonight? How do they expect people to get invested in NXT? He's exactly right. And we've got people saying it's pretty weird to send a message to your best booked show. Anakin JMT bringing up it's Kross's first singles loss. Jay Party does as well. Richie Goodacre says Triple H can't be too happy with Vince at this point. I mean, it is. I know there's a lot of people that just don't like Karrion Kross, and I get it. You're not going to like all the same people. This is just objectively a weird booking decision, and El Milkman enjoyed your rant.
Thank you. I just feel like I get it. Some people might not like Karrion Kross, and people are saying, well, people don't know who he is. That's not the point. There's a bigger picture here. It's what Karrion Kross represents. And it just doesn't make sense. Like, why would you want to say, why would you want to send a message to the NXT brand? The NXT brand is part of your company. They make money. You make money. Everybody makes money. It does not make sense, Sean. I can't fathom it.
Dylan says Vince is the little kid going into his brother's Triple H's room to play with his toys and just smashes them together until they break. And I got somebody saying this is not objectively a weird decision. It's subjectively. Okay, fair. But it is a weird decision. It would be a weird decision to have a world champion show up on your show and beat him in 3 minutes to a guy. Yeah, no, it is. Anybody reasonably would think that's weird. Jonathan says there are logical WWE logic to explain Kross losing like that. Scarlett is the source, something. No, but and I don't think they will. I think it'll just be he lost. I think that's it. They could make sense of almost anything if they tried. And I had people say, "Oh well, I'm okay with Jeff Hardy beating Kross because Jeff Hardy's a former world champion and Jeff Hardy shouldn't be beaten." You don't got to book them against each other. It could have been anybody else. We got Havry Duncan that sent a good super chat that, gosh, we've got so many. But he says Moss, Garza, Shelton, Gulak, Truth, Cedric are all a part of Raw. Any of those guys could have got squashed. Well, he's talking about Bobby even. But any of those guys could have got squashed by Kross too. But Moss is hurt. But yes, that could have worked for 2 matches tonight. There's a lot of them that could have worked for. Instead of doing rematches, you could have debuted and returned some of these people with a win, Denise, and made people care about them.
And the argument that NXT, Raw, and SmackDown are on par, I never want to hear anybody say that anymore because they're not seen on par anymore. And this is not speaking about the in-ring work. No, this is just how the brands are being portrayed. And I feel bad because I've seen a lot of NXT talent go out in interviews and they say that they're on par with Raw and SmackDown and they're all seen as the same level. And that's why they kind of get irritated when people ask, or when are they going to move up to the main roster? When are they going to move up to the main roster? And then they don't. I'm sorry, but like when you have the main roster, NXT is not a part of that.
Chris Rain says, this is why I never want to see Adam Cole called up. Don't think you got to worry about that, my friend. And we got a super chat where somebody said, it was Daniel R. He said, Tommaso Ciampa seems like the smartest guy around. He sure does. Dave A says, was this meant to make sure Kross annihilates Joe? I guess I read that one twice. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Cliff Beard says, if we follow WWE rules, Jeff Hardy gets an NXT title shot now, right? He did just pin the champ, right? And Raul says, sarcasm. Let it play out, Sean. We get weeks of rematches now. Also, clip Denise's rant. We probably will. And as other people are pointing out, they're probably not going to mention this loss on NXT.
Why would they? Are they supposed to be different universes, even though they obviously promoted him as the NXT champion in that graphic? Although sometimes it seems like we're supposed to act like they're in another universe.
And Colt Badeau even says, watch tomorrow when Joe doesn't mention this. If I were Joe and I re-signed and this is like one of the first things that happened, I would be very, very upset by that. Being sold a bill of goods probably there. Josh says, do you think Kross losing will affect people wanting to go to NXT now? I mean, Numbers speak for themselves. More people have left WWE of their own volition in the last 5 years than I think the last 15 or 20. I think it even stretches into the Monday Night War era. Than that period combined, more people have left on their own during that period. Yeah. George says, personally, I love Kross. He's got an intensity and a promo vignette style, which is unique. I think NXT hasn't presented it amazing either. Yeah, I think they're leaving a lot to be desired there. And Daniel says he thought the loss was a mistake. Richie Goodacre says, I knew it looked bad for Kross when they didn't announce his debut till halfway through the show. Well, I heard this afternoon that Kross was going to leave, or maybe it was this evening, and I didn't believe it. I thought I heard wrong. I was shocked by that. Kate says, creative needs to F off more than anyone has F'd off in the history of effing off. That's a good shout. And we still got a bunch of super chats about this. Tingo Ray says, main roster call-ups are killing my care in NXT. Why should I be invested if when they go to the Raw or SmackDown, they'll be wasted? NXT is losing value. I let NXT exist in a world of its own to me, Denise. That's why I try my best to do that.
I know, and it sucks because there's no winning. I mean, you have your NXT talent getting called up, and then they get essentially buried. And now you essentially have Karrion Kross, who was representative of that brand, still getting buried. So it's like, where do you win? There's no winning. I don't get it, Sean. They could do so much with the NXT brand, and it's so fun. And do you remember that, like, the period where, like, you know, everybody was so hot and so crazy for NXT, and it was like that's where like the real fans were, and then they just had this vibe of like, oh, you're a legit fan if you're watching NXT. Like that was like the attitude. And it just kind of feels like I don't know where any of that went.
Oh, man. Colt Bedosa, somebody asked Triple H about this on his next call. Oh, it will be asked about. It for sure will be asked about. And those calls have become pretty interesting. He's gotten kind of sassy there lately. Daniel Eckersley says they had an opportunity to highlight NXT, have Kross win, and Joe come out and attack him. It's not hard to book. Geez. Yeah, I completely agree. If you're going to do the crossover, I would have loved that. I would have loved, as he gets back to the ramp, Joe shows up and chokes him out. And they're like, well, now you're going to have to tune into NXT and see this.
I think at this point I would have taken anything.
Cyclops says he hates Kross and he's butthurt about it. It's just because of the common sense booking around it. And Charlie says, hey, Denise, I completely agree with what the F. Love that Jeff has his music back, but the booking has been atrocious. All of a sudden, he pins Kross in 6 minutes after he destroys all challengers at NXT. Gargano, Cole, Balor all bumped their asses off and had really physical matches with Kross to make him look good.
Yes.
And this is what happens.
Exactly.
Injection says, saw the finish and thought they did that so they can play Jeff's music, honestly. And
so you get it twice.
The sad reality is that music wasn't as over as I thought it was going to be.
No.
Hopefully fans are a little bit more, I don't know, clued in,
it's
tuned
like
in.
The dancing thing, though. It's like it's a good song, but you can't move to it as much, though.
There's definitely a younger era that way more fondly remembers that than the Hardy Boys theme. And I get it. I understand it. I like the song, too. I mean, it played on repeat on the video game main screen. Brandon Charles Powell says, Hardy pin Kross, like 1, 2, 3. I can't process what you're saying. And then we've got John Kelly asking how long NXT contracts are. They vary. Anakin says the last 3 times NXT champ came to Maine, Ciampa defeated FTR and the Bar. Cole defended the title against Dunn and Bryan. Owens stunned Cena.
I forgot to bring something up. We forgot to talk about the fact that it's Karrion Kross's birthday.
Yeah, it's Kross's birthday, too.
You think this did this because it's his birthday?
Well, Wrestle Hype's telling you to go off. This is one of the most super chatted things I have ever seen in the 5 years that we've done this show. I mean, it is by far the most super chatted thing, I would argue. And we're talking like some big returns, some really, really big moments. Drew Lytle says they managed to outdo Walter's Survivor Series burial. Nerd Guru says Finn Balor, Keith Lee, Cole, Johnny, Dunn, O'Reilly, all the ones that he beat are now meaningless. I'm furious about this. George says it seems like years since KO was in NXT with Cena. Raul says, remember when NXT won Survivor Series? Pepperidge Farm does. Keith Lee couldn't even get through a commercial break. Why should I watch NXT?
Sucks.
And then we've got some people that are trying to make sense of it. Phoenix says, only way this pays off if his Kross ends Jeff's career, which will never happen. Jeff's deal's like through next year.
And that's
through
not even
next
the
year.
payoff we want to see. Why would we want to see that? It makes no sense. I'm sorry. That's not even a good payoff.
Somebody asked if I think he loses the title tomorrow. No, I don't. Remember, they're Marvel. He says. Rob Wilkins says NBC Universal is going to have to bring in Cyrus to take care of this. Oh, that's a long time shout. And Nate says that Kross said that Jeff made the biggest mistake of his life, so I guess he got his heat back.
It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
No.
And DKC brings up a good point. Impact's promoting with AAA, New Japan, and AEW, and WWE can't even promote their own brands. I told a story on the Fightful Select Backstage Report podcast. Check it out, guys. It's like 15 minutes of exclusive news every week, every Monday on Fightful Select. And Impact Wrestling, when I hit him up about the NWA stuff, I knew that Thunder Rosa was coming to Impact Wrestling. I knew Kylie Ray was allowed to go over. They were like, oh, by the way, our relationship with Ring of Honor is better than it's ever been, too. Like, MLW's been good to deal with. NWA's been good to deal with. We built that bridge. Pat Kenny helped do that. And WWE can't cooperate with their own brands.
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I think the theme of today is it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense at all. Ian says, I never want to get to the point where the right booking always overtakes personal favorites, even as I age. I don't like Kross. I pop for Jeff's music and win. NXT is my favorite show. And that's a very good point. And Valab says Kross will be fine, but it's more about how NXT was hurt because Kross became a superstar anyway. I think a lot of people are seeing that, Denise. They're realizing there is a bigger picture. There's a grander picture to whether you like Karrion Kross or not, whether or not you like his body of work or not, whether or not you like the presentation. It's NXT, how that is perceived as far as main roster goes. I mean, it ain't good. It's not a good omen.
No, it's not. And I almost wonder if they thought it was a good idea just because the crowd was cheering Jeff Hardy. I don't know. I'm trying to find some sort of logic into this, but to be honest, I just can't.
We're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel of these super chats, by the way.
And I just feel bad because I feel like we're beating a dead horse here, but it's like, how can you not think of the implications here? And
obviously people are very passionate about this. JJ Lee says NXT fan shows like this and as an NXT fan, shows like this hurt and excite somehow. Nate says, prominently displaying that title for a debut loss is a choice. Has there ever been a reigning NXT champion on a Raw match with the title before? I don't know. I feel like Charlotte might have, and she got beat. I think I remember that. Then we get one that says, Raw was the literal burial of NXT with the Kross match. Cena, Becky, and Goldberg is all you need because the future sucks. NXT sucks, says Vince. Yikes. And then Raphael says, I feel the takeaway from tonight's show is that I should either watch NXT or watch the main roster, but I can't watch both and be invested. That's a good point, Denise. It's tough for them to sort of coexist. Well, Denise's internet dropped out, so, I'll keep reading these super chats. Rodolfo says Triple H needs to leave and find himself a Tony Khan. He builds characters so they can just get squashed on the main roster. Ridiculous. Mike Lima says, if this booking continues, will it impact Raw ticket sales? I certainly enjoyed Raw Elevation tonight. And Eddie, oh, look at that. I gotta switch my frame up because Denise dropped out. What do we got here? Bam, look at that. Yeah, I do think that it will affect Raw's ticket sales, quite frankly. I do. Nerd Guru says Balor, Keith Lee, Cole, Johnny Dunn, all those are rendered meaningless as well. I'm going to save the Goldberg stuff until Denise is back, hopefully, because Denise hit the bricks. Her internet's been having some issues there. So bear with us a little bit. Intangible One says, Hardy needs to bring back the glow face paint now that he has no more words. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really good look for him, and it's different. And Naomi's moving over to SmackDown, apparently, so it'd be unique to him on that show. Bid Moon says, one positive, we witnessed a new record for the destruction of a call-up. That ain't fun, though. And Delio says, as long as Cole, Gargano, and Ciampa stay in NXT, you'll be fine. Well, you never know. You never know. Where the F was Scarlett? Keith Lee didn't look good tonight, looked sloppy in his opinion, he says. I think Keith Lee looked like a guy who hadn't wrestled in a few months, and that's okay. I think that's okay. Well, look who has rejoined us. It is Denise Salcedo herself.
I'm sorry. I'm on my phone. My internet completely went out on my computer, so I'm literally on my data on my phone right now. So I'm sorry if my mic and my camera and everything are shit right now.
Well, Drew says your internet felt bad for you and that you actually went to go take a big fat shit.
I wish, man. This is so stressful. I'm pissed. I paid like $110 for this internet.
Well, don't worry. We're going to get you the segment that everybody wants to hear you talk about in a moment. But we've got more super chats. Like, people are really upset about this. They got Raw fans looking down on NXT. Impact even promoted Nikki Cross winning, but Vince can't promote NXT. Kross losing is a final nail in the coffin. Can't wait till Finn gets tired and joins the Elite. Like, people are really upset. Francis saying Triple H should appear on AEW and slander Vince. Jay Party even saying SmackDown was better than Raw. I think this had some more noteworthy stuff, but Cyclops says Cole could cut a great promo on Kross about this. A lot of it seemed true. A lot of what Adam Cole said seemed true. People telling him happy birthday. Luke Jagger says, is Kross trying to make a call to Scott D'Amore? DJ the Kid says Kross losing was bad, but bringing back lead a job to Bobby in 6 minutes is ridiculous. We are about to get into that. And guys, we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna make an executive decision to wrap up the Kross super chats because we've been on this for like 20 minutes. I think we've said about all we can.
But I almost feel like this just tells you everything. The fact that, people are just like livid about this. It should just tell you that it was a really bad call to make, especially right now when you have the return of the crowds and that everybody is hoping for some actual change.
And I had somebody say, oh, you seem mad about this booking. And I'm like, I can't be mad about it. I expect it at this point. I have come to expect really weird booking. Marco notes that we're light years gone from Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan. Could NXT be in trouble? No, they're getting paid for that show. And Brandon Rosen says that Eddie Kingston promo was bang on the money. Yikes. And a lot of people speculating about where you were. Give this $5 to Denise so that she can improve her internet.
This creative decision was so bad it killed my internet. My internet said, nah, she's done talking about this.
Man. It's like I don't even know where to go. We do have some super chats about Riker still. So many rematches. Riker, what a gift to fans, says Kelsey. And Jamie hopes that Riker gets greeted with a standing boo. Sanchez says that he wants somebody to screenshot the look on Denise's face when she dropped out of her internet.
Wait, did I freeze? I'm sorry.
Yes, you did.
I have no idea what's going on, to be honest. I'm still trying to get the internet back, so I'm kind of just here chilling.
Ken says that Hurricane said creating moments is the most important thing. Well, by that metric, Kross losing was a resounding success. Good booking creates moments, though. David Rivera.
Hell yeah.
David Rivera asked, do you think this is Vince being spiteful because NXT could not get the job done and take care of AEW? Possibly. Sure. I'm open to anything now.
But that's backwards thinking, though. That is still his team. If anything, why not try to strengthen it? Sean, am I going to get fired for not having my internet working? Am I going to be punished on the next show? Or are you going to be like, hell, you know what, Denise, we got to have a backup plan next time your internet goes out. By that logic, I should be fired.
I was going to do the show solo. I'm the draw here, Denise.
Oh, thanks. Well, in that case, don't mind
Denise's internet pulled a peacock. We are finally done with the Karrion Kross super chats, guys. Thank you for all of them. Please keep sending them about other stuff. I mean, obviously, we're going to go over time tonight, but that's the case, and Denise will be bonused, of course. But Arzine says, Kross lost, Nikki wins. What a wild 30 minutes of pro wrestling TV. Well, the show got even wilder. Bobby Lashley's out for his open challenge, and it's Keith Lee. Keith Lee is back, and I'm so excited. He did look like he hadn't wrestled in a while, a little bit rough around the edges, but I'm just happy to see him back. What did you think of the match and the decision for Keith Lee to lose in the first match back? Because I thought that was weird.
You know what? Given the fact that it could have been a lot worse, I'm not necessarily completely against Keith Lee losing in this match, to be honest, because it's not like we haven't seen him in a while, so they got to reestablish him on the Raw brand. So I actually think it was the right call to make. Now, is it going to make a new star? Probably not, but right now it's all about Bobby Lashley, and considering the fact that he's, on this dominant streak, then obviously it makes sense to, have him, essentially just brutalize him. Should it have been Keith Lee? They could have brought him in a totally different way. They did not have to bring him into this open challenge. I actually thought that the open challenge was going to be answered by Goldberg, and then there was a couple people maybe half hour before this, all over Twitter sphere was the fact that WWE released new Braun Strowman gear.
Yes.
And then I started thinking, damn, maybe it's going to be Braun Strowman. And so the fact that I was actually expecting for it to be Braun Strowman or Goldberg, but I was happy that it was Keith Lee. But I think they could have brought him back in a different way.
Yes, they could have brought him back in a different way, beating literally anybody and making somebody care about him more. We've got a ton of super chats about this as well. There were people that were not happy about this. Probable Cause says they wasted Keith Lee again for Goldberg, and that's trash. Michael J says, saw Lashley and Lee was like big meat, beefy men slapping meat. Instead, we got a wet fart. Very sad. And, there are people that will say, oh, well, what, do you want Keith Lee to beat Lashley? No, he doesn't got to wrestle Lashley. He could wrestle anybody. Probable Cause says, reestablish what, though, Denise? He was 50-50 before. He was in the main event picture. It's not our fault.
But he does have a point. He has a point to that.
They weren't even 50-50ing him at first, Denise. They were just ending all of his matches in DQs and countouts and no contests. And George says that Keith Lee got in way more than Kofi. Was a swerve, though. Yeah, but it just, that's not how you bring somebody back that's been gone for 6 or 7 months. You what, mate? Thanks us for a hard night work. Thank you very much. And we also had a super chat where Jeff L said you're on 3 straight nights on Fightful, and you went for a bit of a shit break.
I know, I'm sorry. And my hand's trembling too. I'm trying to keep it still, but I don't have a tripod for this. So sorry for the terrible presentation here. This is not Denise Salcedo style right here. Curse Spectrum! This is Spectrum's fault.
Don't worry. I'll do an ad read in a minute. And you can set it up somewhere if you want. Ray Callahan asks, does E cash in at Survivor Series? He said, or SummerSlam, he said he wanted Goldberg. So, Bill Goldberg came out after this, as we reported on FightfulSelect.com. Please subscribe. He says he's next. You know the drill. You've seen it a million times. But people aren't necessarily happy about this, including Nerd Guru saying, how is New Day not the move? Big E has the case. He should have answered and said, you, me, SummerSlam, let's do it. I agree. I really, really agree. And Steve Q says, well, Denise just exited herself from this. Jeez. I think she's adding her stuff. There we go.
I'm back. Internet's back. Thank you.
Okay. So Goldberg comes out. Tell me what you thought about this before we get into the super chats, because we got Steve Q saying it has the potential to be a thrilling match on the pre-show. We've got Wrestle Hype saying that the chant sounded a little bit sweetened. We've got Jose Flores saying he doesn't hate Goldberg, but he hates title match Goldberg. And then we got George saying that he bet you popped for him. So taking all that into consideration, how did you feel? We've had it out on this show over Goldberg before.
Sean, thanks to you, I have been bullied on the internet
Yeah,
because of I'm
thankfully.
a Goldberg fan. So thank you. That's been live and still rocking on my Twitter page every now and then. Now I just have fun with it. Obviously, I was expecting this. After reading your report and all of that, was expecting Goldberg. I just didn't know in what form or fashion he was going to come in during this. And the second that his music hit, you can't deny that there was obviously that reaction for him. And I don't think that this was sweetened or piped, at least from what I saw based on, the crowd and everybody in the chants and all of that. And if they did, damn, they did a good job of hiding it, because I thought that was a really nice reception for Goldberg. Now, again, and I'm going to say this 1 million times, I said this yesterday, I am a Goldberg fan, as we all know, but I do not think that he should be going for the title, okay? And I do not think that he's going to be winning the title. I do think Bobby Lashley will be beating him, obviously, but I think at the end of the day, though, there is still a difference between the live crowd and how they feel about certain people and how the social media community feels about certain people.
And let me tell you, the reception that I got when I reported this news over the weekend on FightfulSelect.com was overwhelmingly negative. And we got somebody saying they can't have moments, comebacks, debuts every week. They could. They have enough talent to where they could make it happen, but they can't rely on that. They can't rely on that. Bid Moon says that myself and Goldberg are over. I don't want to be over the way that Goldberg is, buddy. I mean, besides the money. And Terrence says that the pops for Goldberg and Cena were awesome, but also concerning. Where's the youth core? What happens to your legend when your legends are not available? They don't build anybody. I had somebody say, well, of course they have Goldberg there. He's over. Get somebody else over. Goldberg lost his last title match this year against Drew. Do something else.
Was also all the people, like, think about the people who got the biggest pops of the night. John Cena, Goldberg. Obviously, the Jeff Hardy pop wasn't anything at that level, but still the people they reacted way more to him than they did Kross. So, like, I don't know, like, that is pretty telling, the fact that the people that are getting the reactions are essentially all of the nostalgic people.
To me, when you book Bill Goldberg on a show in 2021, you don't need a title there. I don't add any viewers to whatever he's going to do. It doesn't add a single one. Is Bobby Lashley versus Bill Goldberg an interesting matchup? I'm sure it'll be a fun sprint. Also, it would have been a fun sprint if it were Big E, who is exclaimed in the past that he wants
working their way there. They're working their way there.
Sure. But right now, what's Big E going to do?
Hopefully just keep building upon that momentum that he has right now. That's how you can hope. Oh, at SummerSlam? Yeah. Well, I don't know. It would be nice to see him versus Lashley. That was the direction
they could have built somebody for Bobby Lashley. They could have had Goldberg go in there against Big E and said, all right, you want to show that you belong? Here I am. You want this match? You got it. 3 minutes, big meaty men slap and meet. Big E gets his dream match. People love Big E and will make it work. I think people would be just as interested in that as a Bobby Lashley match. Ray says that he would have preferred Goldberg to be the open challenge just to get the match done and create a cool Raw moment. I wouldn't have hated it. I mean, but they're filling a stadium here, so I get that.
Yeah, I see. At the end of the day, like, again, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but I still think that Goldberg is somebody that will attract eyes, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear that.
Nerd Guru notes that Becky got the third best reaction and wasn't there. I think she was there, but she did get a great reaction. Kentucky says, looking at AEW's big pay-per-views, main events versus WWE's, well, Cena versus Reigns is a legit big-time WrestleMania caliber main event. But, I mean, I look at the stories that AEW tells compared to WWE's on a wide scale, and that's what makes the difference to me.
I'm not going to count out SummerSlam because I know that, from the looks of it, they're putting everything that they have into making that a big show. And I mean, given the fact that people are going to be spending hundreds of dollars to go to Las Vegas, even if you're driving to Las Vegas, those ticket prices for those hotels are expensive. The tickets are expensive. The travel is expensive. So you're going to want to give the people their money's worth, because anybody who's going to this show is definitely dropping a couple hundred, maybe even $1,000 or so.
Oh yeah, it's a very, very expensive trip. Very. Brandon Charles Pell said, let Goldberg spear Jackhammer Riker. That would be very satisfying to me, to be honest with you. That'd be very, very satisfying. I would like that a lot. And Ian gives us a nice compliment. Bad Wi-Fi or 1080p, y'all are the best in the biz. Well, thank you so much. But Denise, did you notice after that punch kick, Goldberg he looked knackered. He looked exhausted.
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody's been bringing that up since like forever. That's obviously been a criticism.
So I think what he probably should do is call up our friends at helixsleep.com/Fightful, get him a nice, comfortable mattress delivered, and just enjoy himself. Just relax. You know, if you're getting tired walking through those fireworks, maybe it's that adrenaline dump. Maybe it's one of Denise's big fat dumps. You never know what's going to get you worn out. Helix Sleep has you covered. You go over to helixsleep.com. You take the quiz. You get matched with the mattress that you get from the quiz. I got matched with the Dusk Lux. And I wanted something that felt a little bit in between soft and firm. I was a back sleeper. Now I can be a back or side sleeper because this fits me so much better. I wasn't able to do that on the slab of memory foam that I slept on before, but helixsleep.com/Fightful changed the way that I slept. And I got to maximize my sleep. I don't get a lot of it, so I want to maximize it when I have it. And for quite literally the better part of a decade, I was looking for a better pillow because I broke my neck and had some pretty rough neck injuries about 10 years ago. And their Helix Sleep pillows that come with this deal I'm about to provide you have done me a wonderful service. They're offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/Fightful. They have a 10-year warranty. And you get to try out the helixsleep.com/Fightful mattress for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it. You take their 2-minute sleep quiz. They'll match you up to a customized mattress that gives you the best sleep of your life. It is the #1 best overall mattress pick of 2020 by GQ and Wired magazine, and most importantly, Fightful magazine. You don't have to go to a mattress shop and sit on their janky mattresses that all these other goblins have been rolling around on. No. They'll make sure you get the mattress that works for you. And if you don't like it, risk-free, just call them up. Tell them, hey, you know what? For some reason, I don't like this. I don't like getting the best night's sleep of my life. Whatever. I don't need any of that. They'll come back and they'll get it for free. Look at Ray. He's saying his Helix rules. He threw away all of his other pillows too. Threw them away. helixsleep.com/Fightful. And you know what? Look at that. Look at that. People just showing the love for the Helix Sleep mattress. I love it. And you know what? I went over to allform.com/Fightful and I got myself a By God sofa with a double chase too. Hit them up as well. Those are my Helix peeps. Allform.com/Fightful as well. We've got a few super chats in relation to the last topic that we discussed. George says Hangman's build is Oscar winning compared to WWE. Yes, it is. It is so long-term. The seeds were planted. You can trace the seeds of his eventual win being planted from the very first press conference. They didn't know this was going to be the destination from then, I'm sure, but they have played off of that.
I tweeted this probably obviously the day that we had that confrontation with Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. It literally is my favorite story right now in wrestling.
Same.
And the reason for that is because it comes across as very real, very realistic. Like, I don't feel like I have to stretch my imagination or by any means. I watched this, I'm entertained. And because you have this like history with Hangman Page and Kenny Omega and the Bucks and all of that, it's not hard to buy into the story. And also they've made Paige into this very relatable type of character that, isn't just, black and white. He has layers to him. He has, some things where he might not be completely for, actually going for the bout. And it's just like the whole story that they've been telling has been very, very good.
Oh man, can't wait to see that one. Hopefully in person unfold. Also, AEW and Cincy the week after All Out. I'm very excited for that. Ryan Evans says new Strowman merch. That's a good sign of him returning to the Fed. I know the majority of fans want him nowhere near AEW. I immediately thought that when he left, he would come back on a lesser deal. Denise, he is such a WWE guy. I'd be surprised. Orlando says, thought if Lashley versus Goldberg is a squash match, I want them to keep Bobby distraction of his. I mean, I see what you're getting. I would be fine if Lashley squashed Goldberg. I mean, really, almost all of Goldberg's matches are squashes or sprints.
It's going to be quick. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a sprint.
Yeah, and that's what Goldberg does best. The Intangible One said Denise had to give up her wedding for this first Raw I've seen in months, and the Nikki cash-in is the only reason I don't fully regret it. We still got to get to that. I mean, my God, but we still have one holdout on the Kross thing. Ace on Deuce says, Karrion loss is not good ahead of that NXT move to Sci-Fi coming up. Ratings are about to bomb. That isn't a good omen at all, Denise, and they're filming 2 weeks of NXT shows this week.
Oh, God, I forgot about the whole Sci-Fi thing. When is that? Is that next week?
Yes.
Is this week?
Yes,
I'm like, I don't even know what week it is anymore. It's not going to be good for numbers whatsoever.
We got this Playhouse gimmick with Alexa and Doudrop and Eva. This sucked.
Great fashion by Eva and Doudrop. Like the outfits. That's the only positive thing that I can say about this.
Reds are overrated. Thanks for the super chat, pal. Says, what the heck was that fake slow motion fall by Eva Marie? It looked like there's people trying to commit insurance fraud. There was one time I was getting my taxes done, and I pulled up to the place where I was getting my taxes done. This was like 12 years ago. And I watched somebody walk into a parked car and roll off of it and try to pretend like they got hit. Oh, the guy was high as hell, Denise.
Oh, he tried to act like the guy hit him with the car?
And the guy was parked and didn't even have his keys in the ignition.
That's terrible. God.
But also hilarious. I hope he got help. Ace on Deuce says, can we please end this Alexa gimmick? The Fiend stuff can also go. How can anyone defend how long in the tooth it's gotten? It has, and it's past its expiration date. It really is.
It's past it because they haven't actually done anything really with it other than Alexa's Playground. There's not like there's been this major change or there's major shift in the women's division. So no, it's just there.
Tremaine says, hey guys, this means much. I'm super proud of Denise. She's improved so much and is now one of the best commentators in the IWC because she learned from the best Mr. SRS. Also, I need to watch the Nikki cash-in. You do, Tremaine. It was a cool moment, I thought. I thought it was a very cool moment. Let's go ahead and talk about it. I don't think I'm missing anything else on this show. Probably am, but by God, we're an hour and 15 minutes into this show. We got the Charlotte coronation, so to speak, and she comes out and she talks that trash. Rhea Ripley talks that trash, and we get a rematch, Denise.
I feel kind of foolish because I was sort of expecting a Becky Lynch return here. Like out of all the times, I kind of felt it today. I kind of felt it.
Denise, they could have taken the time that set this up, all the time for this match that didn't need to happen, absolutely didn't need to happen, and they could have giving Karrion Kross a more sustained win. They could have had Keith Lee win in a return match. Could have put that on hour one so somebody would have given a shit about hour one outside of the Cena thing. And then this show could have ended with the coronation and Rhea Ripley comes out and they like I said months ago, Peter Griffin versus the Chicken. They beat the absolute dog shit out of each other for about 5 minutes. And then Nikki Ash comes out. Oh, I forgot the Jinder Drew segment. Jinder came out and it was his birthday. He didn't lose a match. We'll go ahead and talk about this. Jinder got sang to by Shanky. This literally got 0 super chats. The only segment on the show that got no super chats, which is why I forgot it.
You know what, though? I will say this, though. I prefer to listen to Shanky sing than have to listen to one more history talk from Drew.
Yes. And Drew's got to know it's bad. From what I heard, he does know it's bad and doesn't want to do it. But Drew came out and beat that ass with a chair, and I'm all for that. For that, but I'm not for the camera cuts they did there.
I have a question for you, Sean. Do you think there was more chair shots or more camera cuts?
Camera cuts, by far. This was harmless to me. They're setting up for Drew and Jinder. Okay, whatever. He's beating up the heater like he should.
Look, here's the thing. Usually I would say that the camera cuts ruin things because they really do. However, I don't know. It kind of added a little bit more to all the it made it seem like he doubled the chair shots. I don't even know because it was just like nonstop. I thought, man, I didn't realize how mad he was at him. I didn't think that he should be that mad at Shanky.
It's just like you got so much history to play off of, and they choose a sword and a motorcycle. That's what they're building this off of. Not the fact that they're legit friends, not the fact that they both got released and became WWE champion, not the fact that at the lowest point of their career they were a tag team together. None of that. Let's play off of a sword and a motorcycle. Real weird. Evan says went from Eddie Kingston and Penta to Riker Elias. Woof. Woof. Well, Bezo, what we have effectively finished the Rhea Ripley Charlotte segment already because that ended in a DQ. It really didn't need to be a match at all. You didn't need to just do a match. You could have just done what we said, run a Keith Lee match, have him win, have him beat literally anybody. That would have been cool. Bezos says, let's talk about how Charlotte has been cashed in on for the third time. Her biggest rival is the Money in the Bank contract, hands down. Well, Nikki Ash, or Nikki ASH, they keep saying instead of Nikki Ash, but I'm calling her Nikki Ash because it's easier to say. Thank you for the obligatory Drew versus Gender super chat. She comes out and she pins Charlotte Flair. And listen, I'll see it through. I'm happy for Nikki because I hear nothing but good things about Nikki. Okay, so little inside baseball here. I know sometimes people are like, Sean, how do you get leaks? Who leaks you this information? Why they leak so much negative news? I had somebody go to the trouble last year of leaking me information that when they brought in all the extras to sit around all goddamn day at those tapings, that Nikki Kross was like, hey, I want to buy all of you pizza to thank you all for being here, spending your day here, and making us look good. She is beloved on that roster, and Charlotte Flair's bulletproof. Not Jeff Hardy could pin her in 3 minutes with his foot on the ropes. She's gonna be fine. Exactly. She's gonna be fine. Exactly. She's bulletproof. But Nikki Ash was not, and this woman has worked very, very hard. And there is a lot to play off of Denise. Her ups, her downs, and how she believes in herself, and all of a sudden believing in herself changed things for her. I don't know if WWE will tell this slam dunk, easy story, but there it is.
Again, it makes sense that they're doing it this way with her. I said this like since we started talking about, her being in the Money in the Bank, that it would make sense for her to actually win it since they're making this change in her, invest in her. So go ahead and make her champion. Now, was I expecting it tonight? I honestly wasn't. I thought that this was the only moment of the show that I genuinely was like, oh, nice. Like, this is crazy. Like, I was surprised, but like in a good way. And also, a lot of people yesterday were saying, oh, she's going to lose. She's going to lose. And it was such an automatically given that she was going to lose. But I didn't feel that way. For some reason, I thought, you know what? I don't think she's going to lose. But then when she came out today, I thought, oh man, she's going to lose. Like, I didn't think she was going to actually defeat Charlotte here during tonight. But then it was like, it became clear that she was, and then she did. And the reaction was like cool. But I think the reaction was more so of like, the fact that the audience got to see a cash in, and a successful cash in at that. So I do hope that, next week, that we do see this new, bigger appreciation for Nikki Ash.
So I don't even know that I heard the reaction because, Denise, I am still so used to like me reacting that I don't, sometimes I don't pay attention to what the reaction is on the screen. This was a cool moment. I feel happy for the person behind the character, even beyond that. Tremaine says, is this her first title reign? If so, that's awesome. Yes, and it is awesome. It is super awesome. I'm so excited for her. I hope they tell this very, very easy story. Ian says, here's $10 more because I miss every SRS Q&A on Select, and because Denise is a future action star. She is. Long episode tonight. Thank you. We've had a couple long episodes. Denise has pulled 3 straight long episodes.
If we make the show 2 hours, that would be 5 hours of me and Fightful in the last 3 days.
I don't think it's going to go
be 4.5 hours.
It doesn't go that far, but Denise is going to get paid a little extra for this.
I'm going to start prolonging this show.
Yeah. Yeah. Zach says he hates WWE so much. The crowd was ready for Becky's return and said we got Nikki's children's TV superhero gimmick with the title. Well, there are different plans for Becky Lynch right now. Also, right after this show, Alex Palowski is going to go live on Fightful Select to do Sour Graps right after this. So if you want even more, I bet Alex is probably going to go another hour and a half. I don't know if there was a Milwaukee Bucks game tonight. No, that's tomorrow. So, yeah, he's getting that in early. I don't blame him. But we've got a ton of super chats about this too. This is one of our most super chatted shows, without a doubt. And I want to thank you guys so much. I posted a Twitter thread the other day. It is not lost on me that in what is a really tough time for a lot of people, you all supported us so much. And I really appreciate that. That will never be lost on me. And I got to meet so many awesome people this weekend at Slammiversary. And me and Denise got to meet so many awesome people in Vegas as well, which was really, really cool. When people tell us that our content helped them through the pandemic, that makes me really, really happy. Nerd Guru says, chat for Alex going nuclear tonight. Drop that $5, guys. It's worth it. It is worth it. Drew says, I don't have faith in this company, but there's a great story of Charlotte struggling to comprehend that this was the wrestler to beat her. Right?
There is, yes, there is that. But I kind of don't almost want them to do that because I don't want them to necessarily take away too much credibility from Nikki. I feel like right now you don't want to necessarily completely shine a light on the fact where it's like, oh, how dare she beat me? Because she still has, obviously she's not the Charlotte Flair level, but she could be.
And we do have a super chat saying, hope she's not a transitional champ. Chris saying that he won't be sleeping tonight. Got to watch Sour Graps. Sour Graps is a great show. We've added figure haul videos weekly to Fightful Select as well. If you're into that, we're really expanding. But the Kentucky 2110 friend of the show says, should have seen this coming as soon as WWE didn't recognize the NXT title for Charlotte's wins. What did you make of that? Because Casey Heenan says, why did they say Charlotte was a 14-time champ on WWE's Instagram, but 11-time champ on Raw? How is it separated from NXT wins? Left hand, right hand, Denise, it seems like they don't necessarily know what they're doing. And I mean, like even Ric Flair's reigns are disputed. Like there are way more than they say.
Yeah, I don't like that. We need to have like a flat line here because it was funny too because like on one of the stories that I did, I put like 14-time champion and then I heard today 11-time and I was like, oh my God, did I make a mistake? It was kind of like that thing, but I'm like, all right, they're clearly just not making this very clear.
Zach Barber says, please don't tell me Becky's going to SmackDown even though she never lost the Raw Women's title. Well, Zach, here's the situation around that. Becky was a SmackDown wrestler when she won the Raw Women's title. She was on that brand, wasn't she? I'm pretty sure she was. But the deal is, she's not on any brand right now. She is not tied to Raw. They did a draft last year. She was not in the draft pool. She is not tied to any brand. And quite frankly, Denise, I liked your line. The sister wives are arguing over who's sharing who. And
that was my best line ever.
If they're arguing over Hell in a Cell, you damn sure they're arguing over Becky Lynch.
And John Cena, because he was the one where like he's going everywhere. Like he was on the Peacock, he was on Raw, he's going to be on SmackDown, he ain't going to be on NXT. Might as well throw him in there. Throw NXT, give NXT a bone, man, especially after tonight. But yeah, they are definitely sharing.
Look at that, people cheering for the babyface Fire.
Oh, come on. Haven't I gone through enough today? I had to go to 3 hours of a very confusing Raw.
People giving me money for Oliver's dinner. I was so happy to see him after being gone for a few days. But let's get into these super chats about Nikki Kross. Injection says, I think Nikki's a transitional champion. Rematch maybe in the next 2 weeks to lead into Becky Charlotte at SummerSlam. That doesn't mean I'm not happy for her because I am. Yeah, I mean, I could see her being a transitional champion, but I kind of hope they tell a story with this. I want to give me a story, Denise.
Yes, please do. And here's the thing is that they can tell more than one story with the Raw Women's division. Doesn't always just have to be the main picture, the main title picture. They can add more to that. And so if they have the option, do it. So I don't want to see Nikki be a transitional champion, especially since we just had that with Charlotte.
Revolution to Evolution says he's laughing in the face of all the Crybaby Liv fans who want Nikki Ash to lose her cash in. Well, I didn't want Nikki to lose her cash in, but I feel for Liv fans as well because they have been they've been stomped on quite a bit.
I feel like you can be happy for multiple people.
Sean says, do you think the Nikki cash-in was planned, or did they pull an audible because of how dull the show was tonight? I had heard of something else closing the show for a while, and I don't even want to speculate what it was, but it's what a lot of people are speculating. Adam Blandplate says, good end to the show, but everything else was bad and damaging. I thought there was a couple good things, but
just the 6 man. That's it.
I love me some Sova, says Charlotte didn't count her 2 NXT titles tonight, though it's funny she used her Rumble win to face Rhea to get that second NXT title. It's hard for me to understand it as well. But you know what? Based on how Karrion Kross was treated tonight, I guess they probably shouldn't count it.
Yeah.
We have some people that, and Ace One Deuce says, can't wait for Charlotte to be a 12-time champ after next week, and that Kross is in geek territory. But we do have some people wondering, what's up with Rhea Ripley? What is the immediate future for the troll face Rhea Ripley? Now, we mean that as far as a gimmick, not physically. But what do you think is next for Rhea?
She had one of the best matches last night, and I said that because it was legitimately one of my favorite matches, not just on the show, but also throughout the entire wrestling week, including Slammiversary and so many other events that took place. But it kind of feels to me now that I feel like they see her run as sort of a failure. I almost feel like it was a test and she didn't pass the test. And I hate to say that because I think she could have, given the right opportunities and the right tools, exactly, not the opportunities, because she did have the opportunity there, but I don't necessarily think she took the ball and ran with it, which kind of sucks because I don't really know how much blame you put on creative and how much blame you put on, the actual talent, because they can, when you're given bad material, there are people that have been able to make that bad material work, and I don't think that Rhea Ripley made it work.
Ace on Deuce says Becky, Charlotte, Rhea triple threat at SummerSlam. That sounds fun, and maybe if you want Becky to get her ring wind back or something, maybe, but I think Becky versus anybody one-on-one is a big attraction. It could be against anybody.
It really could.
Bryant showing us some love. Daniel says Fiend returns as super corny hero, aligns with Nikki Ash, feuds with Alexa. Sorry, Weed is good tonight.
Don't give that idea to them. It will happen.
Riptide asking if you own anything made out of white python. I do.
Oh, dear Lord.
The back tab, look at these. They're beautiful.
Sean, I've been through enough today.
They're beautiful. They're really beautiful shoes. GOI Kicks on Twitter and Instagram. We've still got some super chats. Nerd Guru says he's not a fan of Charlotte, but Becky Charlotte's program for SummerSlam would have been way better than the cash-in. I like the cash-in. You can still do Charlotte versus Becky. Becky doesn't have to have a title shot. I think it's even a babyface move for her to come back and say, even though I didn't lose it, I still want to earn it. I think that would be pretty cool. And 813 Car Guy says they'll put Rhea and Charlotte together once Becky comes back. Oh, they sure will. Can they coexist, Denise?
Oh, no. I got to hear that again. We're not done with that. We're going to be hearing that for the rest of time.
But can they coexist?
I don't know.
Cyclops says he only watched for a Roman and Becky sighting, and he's sad. But George is saying at the mishmash of a show, some will be happy, some won't. But he's very happy with Nikki winning. The locker room agrees. Got to see what happens in the next few weeks. Daniel Eckersley says the show was all over the place. They had multiple layups or a slam dunk. Hate the gimmick, but happy for Nikki Cross. And that seems to be the common theme. JJ Lee saying he's punching the air right now. Nikki snatched the whole flow. Roller coaster show, and he's happy for her. People seem very happy for Nikki, and that is a good
she
sign.
Was the only positive of this show. And then I knew they were going to end on a positive note. I didn't know what that note was going to be, but then I thought, man, even though they do end on a good note, I don't necessarily want to disregard everything else that happened, because everything else that happened was not okay.
Kinshiro says, if you told me a year ago I'd audibly sigh for Rhea coming out, I would have laughed at you. Not sure how I feel about the switch yesterday now. What do you think about that?
Wait, think about what exactly?
about Rhea Ripley and kind of getting that reaction.
Well, here's the thing too, is that this is what I was thinking too, is that they could have easily had Nikki essentially cash in on Rhea Ripley. Like, you didn't have to necessarily have Charlotte actually, win the title. So they could have gone about it that way as well. And I would have been I actually thought that would have made a little bit more sense too.
Aaron mentions that Charlotte's been cashed in on 3 times, and Nerd Guru says that not acknowledging Charlotte's NXT title reigns infuriates me to no end. Why do I even need to watch NXT? She won the title at Mania. WTF. NXT was disrespected an awful lot tonight. And then
they had the commercial promoting the show.
Yes. Guys, I know I stumbled all over the place. I know the super chats were long, but that's what we're here for. We're here to talk about what you guys want to talk about, regardless of what that is and however long it takes. So thank you all so much. This has been a fantastic weekend. Denise, tell the people what you're up to.
You know what, Sean, I'm a little upset. We already gone over with this show, but I might as well say this now. I feel I have not been given any much credit for all the times that I showed up this weekend. I was here Saturday, I was here Sunday, and I was here Monday. You didn't put me over enough. You didn't put me enough. I need to get put over just a tad bit more. But anyways, you guys can check me out on Twitter and on Instagram at _ Denise Salcedo. And I do now have an interview with the WWE Raw Women's Champion, Nikki Ash. You can check that out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. See, Sean, you can't even let me have my moment to promote my stuff. It's always got to be about Sean Ross Sapp.
You know what's funny? I currently have interviews on Fightful just over however much time with the NXT World Champion, the WWE Champion. Who's the Universal Champion? Not Roman Reigns. The AEW Champion. I've got
Sean,
the NXT. I interviewed the NXT Women's Champion today.
Are we going to argue now about our library of interviews? Because you clearly have not seen my library.
Yeah, because I'm too busy looking at mine. Anakin says the behind-the-scenes video for YouTube members was great. That was good. It was me directing you for the Hollywood Salcedo stuff.
And because it's my name, you're using it. You see what I mean? I get 0 credit here. 0 credit.
I mean, you did good in it. I thought you were really good in it. I even said that multiple times. I complimented you as we were filming it, Denise. But yeah, that was pretty cool. But guys, FightfulSelect.com. Please subscribe. It's going to be a good week to subscribe. And Denise, just nod your head if you agree based on what you know. Okay.
I smile.
Yeah, it sure is. FightfulMag.com. Go there, check out our magazine. Thank you guys so much. Alex Pawlowski is live on Fightful Select next. We're out.